Good evening. It's 6:17. I waited close to 20 minutes, a little more than 20 minutes actually, hoping that somebody would come on and keep me company and make me feel important. Uh, but who can blame you, because there's lots of other things to do besides listen to the old professor carry on. In any event, you already have two videos from me. This will be the third. And there will be a fourth, actually. He smiled. Wednesday, when I have a chance to do part three of the content piece for week 9. If you watched the second one, you know that the first one was housekeeping issues. And I'm going to come back to that in a few seconds. And the second one was content as far as chapter 9 was concerned. I did some preliminary conversation about the value of chapter 9, which I sort of think is not quite as important as what we've been doing, although certainly it's not unimportant. At any rate, there were some other issues I thought we should probably concentrate on. And I had tried to do, I call it an inside out, backwards design approach that I still haven't quite figured out, where went to the end of the chapter, picked the discussion, rather the case study, and then tried to back the case study's issues into the content of chapter 9. And I just didn't like the way I was beginning to describe it. So I'll do a more detailed job on that Wednesday, maybe Thursday, more likely than that Wednesday, maybe even tomorrow. So this is yet, I guess, the fourth entry for the week, because I just mean to spend a few minutes discussing, although I did talk about it a little bit in the first two videos I've put up this week. Just want to go into a bit more detail on the next assignment, actually the last assignment for the course, which I've already alluded to in a couple of different ways. So to repeat myself, as I've been known to do, to repeat myself, bad joke. We have this assignment. The assignment is for you to create an entire program to apply all of the skills and conversations that we've engaged in through discussions and my pitter-patter on various videos, as well as your own readings. Now I want this particular assignment is to synthesize everything and see whether you've mastered everything you need to have mastered. As I had mentioned, your midterms are read and graded, and with some comments. And so you can find that in Blackboard. If you want more of a conversation about that, you need only contact me. But on whole, they were pretty good, and I'm not surprised about that, because most everything I get from everyone is very good. And that makes me feel good, not because I think that I'm John Dewey, as much as because I know I'm working with a very invested, very bright set of people, and I appreciate that. So here is this last assignment. Now, last week I put up a kind of template, kind of a strategic planning template that I still offer to you to fill out as best you want to, any way you want to, and not to submit to me, but to help you get your motor running, to help you what's called in creative parlance, pre-writing, where you create fluency of ideas. And using that little template will help you do that. That's a money-back guarantee. And if you choose not to use that, that's entirely up to you. But I do want to help you get ready for this. Today is October 24th. Next week's Halloween, and the week after that is the last week of the course. Although technically, I'm not sure what it is. I think November 10th. So this assignment will be due on the 10th, and if you wait until November 9th, you're going to regret that. All right, and I will too, because I don't like waiting for assignments. That's one thing I'm kind of neurotic about. So November 10th is the date. If you need an extension, I'll certainly give it to you, but I would much prefer that everything were in my pocket by the 10th. So as I was saying in one of the earlier videos, I was digging around some of my old files, and I found that I guess you call it guidance or a model. Not really a model, but more of a description of what this assignment entails. And I thought, I don't like to take materials from earlier courses, but in this case I did. And I've posted it up in the content documents, so I think that's what it's called, on Blackboard. It's already there, and all I'm going to do is pull it up and speak to it. I'll probably speak to it next Monday as well, but let's get that going. And then again, if you have any questions of any kind connected to anything, but specifically to this assignment, please do so. Please give me a call. I think only one of you has ever called me. Why am I feeling so lonely? But at any rate, give me a call, give me an email or a text. I don't remember getting text from anyone either, for that matter, but I much prefer an email more than anything else. And I'm talking too much, so let's go over to the sharing the screen and to not that. There it is. Okay. And I'm going to read to you. I don't like to be read to myself very much, but this is how I'm going to choose to do it. Here we go. Develop a training plan and it's in your Blackboard documents, as I said, or you can go back to this any way you want. Develop a training plan for a specific group of people in a specific organization. And this is where I made the important point, is that you, in the last two videos, maybe the last three, is you give me context. I really need to know what group or organization you're talking about. I don't need to have the name, but I need to get a good feel for what it is you're trying to work on. So just don't make up any old thing. Give me some detail about how you're looking at things. And as an example, you can develop a plan for a group of employees, for example, your managers in your organization, where you currently work, where you used to work, or any other place that you have any kind of deep familiarity with. And then that's your context, and just help me understand it as best you can. And the plan is intended to be a learning event, all right? So that you're going to, for example, describe the strategies that you're going to use in detail against how you plan the entire program of training for the specific group. Or it could be for an ongoing intervention, such as on the job learning, or an apprenticeship, or a mentorship. I'm pretty liberal about how you want to approach that. And your plan is actually the approach you're going to take to improve whatever or whoever the target audience is going to be. That is, whom you're going to train. It's somehow changing their behavior, getting them more knowledge, having them practice and master skills, or increase their abilities to do different things. Now, I would ask the question, if I were on the other side of this camera, I said, I mean, I have to do all those things? And my answer is, in truth, you probably should, but we have to give you a little slack here, because I don't want this to be a dissertation for you. So you can narrow that. Don't just feel as though you have to have a goal or an approach for each of those premises. But I don't see how they stand alone either. So you may need to combine some things in one place or another. Knowledge and skills clearly is a good example of that. Now, below this, there are 6 areas that you need to address. And there's points associated with it. Now, if any of you, again, we don't know each other that well, but I've said it enough times, and I've sent you the rhythm and the vibration of my thinking. I don't get crazed about the point things. And some of you do, and I respect that, and I try to honor it. But if you're interested in points priority, I put points priorities there, and I'm going to try to adhere to them, but I reserve the right to have some flexibility with this, in some point or another. So you do have points assigned to the different parts of the assignment. Points associated with each area appear in parentheses, and I don't particularly want you to write one integrated essay. Rather, I would have you write a response to each of these areas, and just number them so I know what you're talking to. And you need to be specific enough to show me that you know what you're talking about. Hello, you need to be authoritative. And in being authoritative, I recommend strongly that you cite not only the book, anything I've said or offered you to look at, and most of you are very good at looking for other research as well. So cite me some research. One of you is going to raise your hand on the cyberway and say, how many resources should you have? And I'm not going to give you an answer to that. But if you put a gun between my eyes, I would say 4 or 5. I'm not going to count the number of resources that you use. But I do like to see the fact that you've used research to substantiate your thinking. All right, so you need to be specific enough to convey that you know the material and you know how to apply it to whichever this specific organization is that you've chosen. And you don't need to create a detailed lesson plan spelling out every minute for the activities that you have. Part of me wants me to have you do that, but again, I don't think I don't want to restrict you like that for now. So if you rather work that way, by all means, I bless you on that, do it. But if you're not the type to do that, it's okay. Okay, so you have part one with A and B to it. Right, a few sentences about the organization. We've already talked about this. What describes its business emphasis? And you can look at 2.7 in the text for more detail on that. If it's for a nonprofit only, you could substitute their mission for something else, or whichever way you want to do it. But give me something to work from. And then there's an example. It's a company in New York City that makes cardboard. It has 500 employees. I can't even imagine that. Its emphasis is on increasing market share. And you can use the real name if you want, but or you can disguise the name. And then we go to B, where you provide a description of the targeted training audience, such as where they fit within the organization, how many there are that you're trying to train. Again, you can make this up. I'm not going to question this. I just want you to flesh out the thinking that goes with this. Include what seems to be the issue. That's the biggie. Include what seems to be the issue that needs training. That's what we need to know for B. And evidence that you think that you need to help improve that. That's clear. If you need more discussion, bring it up in discussion or come find me. Point two, how would you go about doing a needs assessment? What would your approach be? We talked about this ad nauseum. I think you have a pretty good handle on this, especially based on using the midterm. Who is going to be involved? Who's in the training group? What is the issue you're trying to train for? Now, you notice I use a singular issue. If you want to go with multiple issues, I welcome that. Almost prefer it, but I'm not holding a gun to your head again, as I said. So what are you looking for? What is it that you're working for? And what kind of evidence would you use to recognize that issue is being improved? So that's one and two. And I'm sorry, that's two. I'm still in number two. Now, what we're going to do is assume that you've completed the needs assessment and that you've drawn some conclusions, some assumptions from the results. What did you decide? That's interesting to me. Did you use 5 whys? Did you look for root causes? Did you try to get behind the message behind the music? And then try to identify, again, this is fictional, what the trainees need specifically to learn and how or whether they were receptive to this. You might have had some fun with that. Say, there was 5 people who openly resisted me. They were the old veterans and they don't see the need to do this. And I had to work with them in this way rather than another way. Most importantly, what would the potential impact be to the organization? Now, I can see I have 2 2s here, so that's why you only see 5 numbers here. This is really number 3. Now, although it's only worth 3 points, this is a critical one, I would think, and that would be, what is your specific learning objective or objectives? What is your specific learning objective? Remember, an objective is a goal with a measurement. It's not just a goal. My trainees will get smarter is not an objective. It's a goal. It will be smarter in it being able to make cardboard boxes 3 times quicker than they used to make them. I can't even imagine how you do that in the first place, but that's what we're looking for. If you're not sure how to write, talking too fast. If you're not sure how to write a training objective, there are videos and PowerPoints about that, or give me a call for some more refreshing. But in any event, remember, it's a goal with a measurement. It's a goal with a criteria of some sort. Now, more important, that's very important to me. I need to see that you know how to write a learning objective. But three is also very important, obviously. We've done a lot of conversation about this in numbers of ways. What training methods are you going to use? You need to choose at least three. They're discussed extensively in 7 and 8. I would say 6, 7, and 8, quite frankly. Go back to 6, 7, and 8, 6, 7, and 8. And I haven't given up on 8 too. I'm probably going to include some more pieces of 8 in the next video I put up this week. You have to choose. This I'm going to overlook. It says you must choose at least one specific method from each chapter. I would like you to be able to do that, but I'm not going to, I'm not going to penalize you if you weren't able to do that, but try to. All right. So you need to use those chapters to come up with training. I'm going to call it a training methods, plural, because we want 3. Bundle. Somehow you have to show how they're connected. They're standing alone in isolation, and it's hard to justify, I think, how you approach it. Although there is one way to do that, you could justify that. And part of me doesn't want to tell you, but I will tell you because I want to play games with a good group of people like you. And that would be, depending on how you measure or perceive the readiness or the capacity of the people whom you're training, you might need to have, my word, individualized, personalized methods for one group of folks within that group, and another one perhaps more challenging for another group, and so forth. So think about that. In parlance, I'm using an educational term rather not a business term. That's called differentiation. In other words, you create tasks that enable the learners, the participants in our case, work within their capacity to differentiate among what you want to do. Not as easy to do as it is to talk about. So you think about that. So three has some challenges here. And again, you need to explain why you chose each method for this particular audience, as I was saying 2 seconds ago. Okay, and that's why I'm putting a point emphasis on that you should pay attention to. And number 4 is describe how you will ensure the transfer of training to the job. In other words, be specific to include how the techniques and the individuals involved that you use with them, and then you back up why you decided to do that. And more importantly, in some respects, I think 4 and 5 blend kind of closely. Tell me how you're going to evaluate it, or the things that you write to. So you look at 6.1 in your text, and it'll give you some things to work from. We've done a fair amount of conversation about evaluation. All the more reason to have a good objective. In fact, if you want to write up an objective as you begin to play with this and send it to me in advance in an email and ask me to give you some feedback on that, I would be happy to do that. Because if your objective is, or objectives are not up to snuff, everything else suffers from that. That's why it's so critical. So by all means, feel free to send me an objective for me to give you to respond to one way or another. So again, going back to number 5, which is really number 6, looking at table 6.1 in the text, explain how you will evaluate it. Okay. And then the last piece, B, is explain how you would do a return on expectation, the ROI, a return on expectation, return on investment. How would you determine whether all this work that you invested in this group, in theory, okay, how would you know that it worked? Is it profits? Is it better attendance of employees? Is it more smiling faces? I'm not being a wise guy when I say that. Is it less time and more efficient time used? Is there any of those things? Be as specific as you can, because those are the kinds of things a boss will ask you for up the road. Okay? And I think basically that's it. Give me the paper via the assignment section no later than November 10th. And I will respond as fast as I can about that because, as I said a couple of times, I like to get my grades in professionally as quickly as I can. If you run into, a health problem, heaven forbid, or family or any kind of issue that interferes with your ability to complete it by the 10th, give me a call or drop me a line, and I'll 99 times out of 100, I'm going to say, okay, of course. I can't even think of a time when I said no to anybody. If they look for an extension, I'm not going to give you 6 months, okay? Unless you have a real heaven forbid, and I wouldn't wish that on you in any shape or form. So I know I talked fast, but I just wanted to make sure that I gave you some more explanation of this, and I hope that you watch it soon. Excuse me, rather than wait till November 9th, because if you do, it'll be a long night. Okay? Okay, I'm stopping the share. And that's all I really wanted to talk about. If no one uh, arrived on my doorstep, and now it's about 6:40, and I've never had anybody try to reach me much past this. So I will move on to preparing for another course I have to prepare for. And I suppose that's it. So send me what I need to know, or ask me what you need to know, and we'll make it work for you. Take care.